Greetings, my fellow sagers. It's story time. Today's story is entitled, That's What Friends Are For. The beautiful artwork used as our cover for today's story is painted by Yvette Fawcett. To check out her signed original version of this picture, as well as her other artwork, visit her Instagram page at Vetsky80. That's What Friends Are For. Written by K. L. Causey. When you live this thing called life, there are many lessons to be imparted. Much of which leaves an indelible impression upon our hearts is the lesson sketched with the instrument of pain. Not all lessons have to be painful, but painful lessons are the most memorable, thus playing a very significant role in shaping who we become in the end. I had a good friend who used to always say, life isn't to be savored, but to be enjoyed to the fullest. I refuse to take cautious nibbles. No, I'm going to take big bites and enjoy the flavor, even if that means it only lasts a second. We'd always laugh on those occasions which triggered her big bite remark. Yet it wouldn't be until years later I would realize how those words were truly ones she abided by. We were thick as thieves, she and I. Usually when you saw one of us, you saw the other. Cheryl, who was me, and Lorraine, her, were inseparable, indivisible, or as my mother would say, joined at the hip. Yeah, we met in first grade, and it just seemed like a friendship made in heaven. Because I was more of a shy introvert, Lorraine's outgoing personality was impressive to me. She did what needed to be done and said what needed to be said as I sat observing from the sidelines, wishing I could be more like her in that regard. Upon graduating high school, we both took different directions. Lorraine went into the military, and I went to college. It would be the first time since we met that we'd be separated for so long. I remember being sad about her leaving, and she laughing, saying, Girl, don't be all sad. I'll be back before you know it. I'm going to kick ass and take names. Then, on a more serious note, she said, Cheryl, live a little. Take some risk and be more adventurous. Take bigger bites and stop worrying about what others may think or what may happen. Just do you. After 4 years passed, and while Lorraine and I did speak often, we hadn't seen each other the entire time. Life provided many distractions, exams, parties, and oh yeah, men. I dated in college, and of course Lorraine boasted of her tryst. The events in my life paled compared to Lorraine's exploits, but I never tired of living vicariously through her. During my final year in college, I fell in love with a man named Harvey. Harvey was a soft-spoken, kind man, and I knew from the start I wanted him in my life for the long haul. We got married shortly after graduating from college. It was a very quaint ceremony. Lorraine made sure to be there for this special time in my life. I wanted children right away, but Harvey wanted to wait until we were more financially stable. Made sense. Lorraine finally left the military after serving a little over 6 years and bought a camper van, swearing she was going to travel the world. She was on the road a lot, and because she invested well, she wasn't too worried about money. She worked jobs periodically, but Lorraine's feet didn't stay planted long. She finally took a hiatus from her hiatus. She spent a lot of time with me and Harvey, and the two became very close. Like me, Harvey enjoyed Lorraine's energy, and although he was more of an introvert than I, that still wasn't saying too much. The difference was, though, Harvey was willing to take certain risks. He just needed that nudge. I think I should take a moment to mention that well into 6 years of marriage, Harvey and I still didn't have children. It wasn't for a lack of trying, and there was no apparent physical reason we couldn't produce a child. It just didn't happen. It bothered me more so than it did Harvey, but I knew he too had his sorrowful moments about it all. My relationship with Harvey changed, and while he was still attentive and kind, something was different. I asked him on many occasions was it because we couldn't seem to have children, and he assured me that that was not the case. He said nothing was wrong, but I felt the distance growing. Lorraine was always the listening ear and confidant. I didn't think she could fully understand, though, because she didn't seem to take relationships seriously. She had a few men that she seemed to care about, but in the end, the relationships just didn't grow into anything deeper until one day while visiting, Lorraine shared something with me. I was concerned because this was the most serious I had ever observed Lorraine to be. Cheryl, she started, I am in love. I damn near hopped happily out of my chair, but she raised her hand, saying, Please, let me finish. I have never in life felt about someone else like I'm feeling now, and probably won't again. She chuckled nervously and continued, I've met someone who provides the perfect balance, if you understand what I'm saying. He's the yin to my yang. I feel it deeply that we were meant for each other, and just recently he told me he feels the same, the very same. Cheryl, I know with all my being I can be happy with him. He will complete me and I him. I couldn't help it. I interrupted. Girl, wait. I have met all of your serious men. Why have you been hiding him? Oh, wait. Is he married? I asked jokingly. Lorraine looked down at the floor and then back to me. Yeah, he is, she replied with an embarrassed look. Oh, no, I scolded softly. Lorraine, why? Out of all the men in the world, why a man who is married? She seemed to ponder my question and responded with, Believe me, I didn't seek him out. I have fought against feeling this way for as long as I could, but there is no denying what is obvious when I'm with this man. We were meant for one another. If for one moment I didn't believe that we could be happy for a lifetime together, I wouldn't risk everything nor expect him to either. But Cheryl, I know this is right even as wrong as others may believe it to be. I observed my friend's face and knew without a doubt she believed everything she was saying. There was a certainty and confidence in the delivery of her words. Lorraine was certain without a single doubt that her and her paramour were destined to be together. So much so, she was willing to throw caution to the wind and indulge herself completely in this belief. This was just who Lorraine was. I smiled and said, Well, you have always been the one taking those big bites, my friend. I don't see it the way that you do, but maybe that is just me being overly cautious. Lorraine attempted a smile, but a tear streamed down her face. I was concerned more than ever now. What is it, Lorraine? Lorraine reached over and placed her hand over mine. She started to say something, but only said, I'm sorry. Before I could ask her what was going on, she got up and walked towards the door. I, taken aback and frozen in my seat, called after her, and she turned briefly to look at me, but left out, closing the door softly behind her. I was perplexed as well as concerned for my friend. Okay, she fell in love with a married man, so I didn't approve, but she had nothing to apologize to me for. What the hell? Bam! Just like that, the realization of what Lorraine was confessing finally hit me like a bolt of lightning. No! I felt myself getting emotional, but quickly countered by denial. Oh, hell no. It ain't what you thinking. Lorraine and Harvey? No way. No fucking way. My thoughts were all over the place, attempting to denounce these horrible thoughts I was having about two people I love most in the world. There's just no way this crazy idea rolling around my head could ever be true. Nope, no way. But then I thought about it. I thought about how their faces lit up when they saw one another. My mind replayed how Harvey appeared so enthralled by Lorraine when she was recounting one of her crazy stories. Once even, I could have sworn seeing his hand deliberately and softly brush against her as they passed each other in the doorway. Bitch. No, no, no. I pulled out my cell phone, dialing wildly, and called Harvey. My hand shook as I listened to his voicemail prompting me to leave a message. I hung up. I called Lorraine on her cell. No answer. There was still a part of me not believing any of this. I could have this whole thing wrong. Maybe I'm reading too much into it all. I need to calm down and wait for Harvey to get home. It seemed forever and a day passed before Harvey made it home. I was furious because I called him and Lorraine repeatedly only to be ignored. He came in the house, and the look he gave me confirmed all of my fears. Without him saying one damn word, I knew that my worst fears had come to life and were taunting me. We looked at each other in silence for a moment. I was about to say something, but before I could, Harvey spoke. He spoke in his same soft spoken, gentle way. He sighed and said, I don't know where to start, Cheryl. Um, well, I know that me and Lorraine. You and Lorraine, what? I shouted. My body was shaking. I shouted my profanities and insults at him, cursing him and Lorraine. I told him how they would never be happy together and a host of other things that Harvey seemed to patiently sit through, not one time interrupting my rant. Finally, I said, well, nothing to say? He got up from where he was sitting and said, Cheryl, let's sleep on it. I'll answer any questions you have and explain some things to you, but not until tomorrow. He looked at me sadly. I wanted to press, but I gave in to my emotional exhaustion. The next morning when I woke up, Harvey was gone. It was about a week later I got a letter from Harvey that was more formal than personal in nature. There were divorce papers and basically a letter saying that I could have the house, car, and most everything we accumulated in our marriage. We saved up quite a bit in our bank account, but Harvey stated he didn't want a cent. Believe it or not, this hurt me more than it appeased me. It was as though he was willing to give up everything to rid himself of me. I had a good job, so even if he had wanted a split of everything, I would be okay. Yet he said he wanted to ensure I had all I needed to be comfortable. As time went on, about 2 years after all of this took place, I met a wonderful man, Ted. He was sweet and kind, and while I still had some insecurities relative to my past love, I still found the courage to give love another chance. I'm so glad I did. Ted and I got married and had 3 children together. I was so happy to have my family. Ted was a great husband and father. My children were my world, and a wonderful world it was. I think it may have been about 10 years later after Harvey left that I got an email from Lorraine. My heart raced after realizing it was from her. I contemplated opening the email, but curiosity got the best of me, and so I opened it and read it. Hey, Cheryl. Seems like ages since we last talked or saw one another. I hope this reaches you in good health and spirits. My dear friend, there were so many times I wanted to reach out to you before now, but since time is the greatest of healers, I decided I'd let some time pass before possibly picking at old wounds. I want to start by apologizing to you because I never set out to deliberately hurt you, although I knew my actions would be painful. I loved you and still do, like a sister. As you know, I have always lived my life taking certain risks in the pursuit of happiness. Never did I imagine that such pursuit would have me falling in love with my best friend's husband. Believe me when I say that we both, Harvey and I, fought against our feelings when we realized they were outside of the realm of what they should have been. Yes, ultimately we had a choice over our behavior and could have selected to pretend that nothing was between us, but that still would have been deceptive. Harvey and I are still together and still very much in love. We both have learned so much from the other, and guess what? He has taught me to actually savor certain things in life and to proceed with more caution. He, on the other hand, has taken more risk and has been better for it. I share this with you because perhaps you'll better understand that the temporary pain inflicted upon you has granted a lasting love and happiness to us, and that we didn't hurt you to indulge in some frivolous temporary affair. There was an opportunity for eternal happiness, and we took our shot, unfortunately, at the expense of your feelings. It was like we just knew our destiny was to be with one another, and you, my friend, were the vessel that helped us find one another. But for all of your pain and suffering, you were ultimately rewarded a happiness you didn't expect, but are totally deserving of. I've been keeping up with your life, and I can tell you it brings me great joy to know that you are basking in the very same happiness that I am. I've seen your family on social media, and they are beautiful. Believe me when I say I am overjoyed for you and hope that one day you will forgive me and Harvey and allow us back in your life. We have a daughter, Shirley, and I would love for you to meet her. I hope we can see each other and soon. I love you, and I apologize for my part in hurting you. Please forgive me. Signed, Rain. I read the email several times, and surprisingly, I wasn't angry. I felt a sense of sorrow because despite all that happened, I really missed Lorraine. I went on her Facebook page and gleaned over her posts and photos, and undoubtedly she and Harvey looked truly happy. Their daughter was beautiful and full of smiles. I found myself genuinely happy for them both and discovered that I was glad they were so happy together. For them, it was worth taking the shot, even at the expense of my feelings. And had it not been for them chasing their dream, I wouldn't be living mine now. I know many wouldn't see it that way, but I do. At one time or another, we all draw the short straw and feel cheated at the time. However, certain painful things make way for the beautiful ones, and that is exactly what happened to me. Ted and the children were my rock. I had everything I wanted and needed, and so there was no reason for me to harbor any ill will. As I considered Lorraine's plea to be forgiven, I realized there was nothing to forgive. In fact, there was so much to be thankful for and to celebrate. As I thought along these lines, I finally responded to Lorraine's email. It wasn't long and drawn out, but more of an invitation to come and break bread with me and my family. We all saw each other again, and believe it or not, we all became very good friends. Our families got along wonderfully, and the past didn't seem to matter any longer. Well, it did, but only as a reflection of what helped to create the happiness we all managed to gain from enduring all that transpired. Now, if I'm completely honest, it was a conversation I had with Harvey that gave me a sense of resolve and peace about everything. For years I had thought it was so trouble free for him to leave me behind as if I didn't matter. I just didn't know how indelible those feelings were until we had a conversation during one of his and Lorraine's visits. I was cleaning up the kitchen and he came in and offered to help. He looked at me with glassy eyes and said, "Cheryl, I've been wanting to say this for the longest time because it has haunted me even to this day how I left things with you years ago. You didn't deserve that, but I need to tell you why I did what I did. I had every intention of talking to you and answering any questions you may have had about me and Lorraine. That was the least I could do. But I admit that there was a part of me that knew if I had have waited to explain everything, well, I may not have left. I loved you, Cheryl, and you must believe that. It tore me apart to do what I did, but, well, I. He paused. Well, I took the coward's way out, and well, here we are. I'm just glad you found happiness because you deserve it. You always have, and I just couldn't apologize enough to you for hurting you as I did." I found myself getting emotionally full and realized that I needed to hear this. He wiped a tear that managed to make its escape, and we embraced each other. Afterwards, I thanked him and was grateful we all reconnected and that was all that mattered. While I realize that many may not see things as I do when it comes to this matter, I guess for me, I could see past my own pain and understand that some things really are worth the risk for some people. How could I hold a grudge when two people I love so much really did make each other so happy? Also, because of their actions, I ended up with the love and family I always wanted. Oh well, it really doesn't matter what others may think about all of this. I am at peace with it all and choose to bask in all of the good that has come from all that has transpired. I thank you for listening.